Welcome back to the New York Times Close-Up. You've seen my Times' colleague Chester Higgins Jr.'s photographs in the newspaper and at NY1CloseUp with regularity. He chronicles the lives of our newsmakers, the events that shape our lives. Many of you may know of the other work of Chester Higgins, exhibitions of his work, his books, including Feeling the Spirit, Searching the World for the People of Africa. His latest, published by the American University in Cairo Press, is Ancient Nubia, African Kingdoms on the Nile. The essay is written by prominent Egyptologists. You started going to Egypt, I think, back in 1973.
Right.
What did you discover about ancient Nubia, and what, for the uninitiated, and where is ancient Nubia?
Well, it's a very good question because ancient Egypt sort of takes all the oxygen out of the room. It's sexier, the infrastructure is there, and I must admit, it took me into 2000 to get to Nubia because I had to work my way through Egypt, so to speak. And getting to Nubia is not easy because it's going in Sudan, and the government is not necessarily like people to, it's not easy to get a visa. Unlike Egypt, where you have hotels, these antiquity sites, there's nothing there. So you have to be a camper. You have to live in tents. Mm-hmm. So this is 6 weeks living up and down the Nile, traveling by Land Rover, but living in tents, moving camp from day to day, and every morning seeing, you always see a group of scorpions come out from under the tent.
Nice.
But you were there all alone, the wind and the desert, which I love, and you had your horizon that you could see for at least 30 or 40 miles away. And these antiquity sites being away from habitat you were free to roam around. Unlike in Egypt where you have a lot of antiquity controls, the Sudanese are slow about doing that. But
which I guess is a mixed blessing.
It's a mixed blessing.
One of the things you said on this program earlier, talking about being alone in the desert, the starry skies, religion is an African invention, just because there had to be some explanation for this miracle that people were seeing. Speaking of seeing, let's look at some of these photographs. And Chester, if you could tell what it is we're looking at.
This is a temple actually built by Akhenaten's father, or Tutankhamun's grandfather, in Sola. This is the northernmost temple that's left behind because that hasn't been covered by the lake due to the Aswan Dam. So this is the last place in Sudan before you reach the border of Egypt, Wadi Halfa. This is in Merowe, which was a huge necropolis at one time, having almost 500 pyramids and tombs. The ancient Greek writers talk about it as the headquarters of all the Merowe priests, and it shows you the style between the ancient Nubian pyramids and the Egyptians. The Egyptian pyramids are 45-degree angles, and the Nubians are 60-degree. Here you see Kitchener's Island and Aswan, because this Aswan is where the border began from Egypt to Nubia, going south. And the next one, what is? Also in Aswan.
Stunning.
Aswan, this is where the temple of Ramses was carved out of a mountain. And this temple was on the border, just below Aswan, so that when people came down the Nile from Nubia, they saw this on the border, this very imposing image of Ramses. These 4 statues, I guess, they are so tall that a person would probably be the height of his ear.
Wow.
To give you some perspective.
How did they do that?
Incredible technology, because you're not bringing building material to the site, you're taking away from the site.
That's right. And
to do it in such a way that it doesn't fall in on itself, and that you have to know the vein or the grain of the stone is a lost art to most of us. This is another mountain temple in Sudan, further south, called Gebel Bakel. And this was the capital of the Nubians at one point, and in this area they had these huge temples, and as they say, the home of God that they worship. Here are some rams in front of a temple of Amun. This Amun word is amen. Some say amen. Some people say Amun. It's because the languages are consonant-based languages, not vowel-based, so you have to drop in the vowel that you think is relative.
The contrast between the blue sky and the sand is absolutely incredible. I know this is sort of a self-explanatory statement, but what keeps drawing you back to this area?
Well, I'm really become very passionate about the voices that have been left behind by humans, about what we do, what we believe in. And I look at my work along the Nile as essentially as looking at the ancient footprints of God. Different people, if you look at studying history, and new things are being found out all along, is that early humans descended from the mountains of Ethiopia, and the natural migration path was down the rivers, and the Nile being the largest river, and walking down that river, bringing their belief in spirituality all the way down to Egypt. It became spirituality, and then after the period of Akhenaten, it turned around and then marched back up the hill as religion.
A fascinating venture and a beautiful series of photographs. Chester Higgins Jr., The New York Times, Ancient Nubia, African Kingdoms on the Nile. It's just been published by the American University in Cairo Press.